And we're live.
I didn't even see that intro. Did the intro come up?
Yeah, it's already over.
It's all right. Okay. Well, you know something, Cody, brother. What you gonna do when it's the 4th of July episode of Midnight Mayhem, brother? And we're gonna talk about wrestling, and we're gonna talk about hockey, and we're gonna talk about rock music and rock stars in movies, brother. And then most of all, we're gonna do our favorite summer horror movies, brother. So what are you gonna do when the largest 24-centimeter pythons, brother, run wild on you? Yeah, brother. Yeah, brother. I'm coming for you, brother. You know, brother, I'm coming for you, brother. All right, well, here we are, next episode.
Voices, so I tried, but I'm really
That's fine, it worked. So for episode 2 of Midnight Mayhem podcast, it is July 4th. 2023. It's a little couple hours past the midnight broadcast of Midnight Mayhem, and here we go, Cody. So let's start this out tonight.
After we keep fucking around with it.
Yeah, it only took 5 tries.
So what do you want to start with?
Let's start with the NHL draft. Get that out of the way, and then we'll get into some good stuff to this week or this podcast where we talk about favorite summer horror movies, and we'll talk about rock stars that had cameos in movies, some of our favorite cult favorite movies, and some music news. So we'll get into hockey first and get that out of the way. So your thoughts on the NHL 2023 draft, brother?
Well, it's no surprise Connor Bedard went first. What surprised me was there was no trades. They were all the day before. I was watching it, and it really shocked me that Anaheim didn't take Fantilli. Fantilli was supposedly the second best player easily, and they chose Carlson, so that landed in Columbus's favor because Columbus needed a shutdown center, so that helped. 4th pick was Will Smith, who they said could have been 2nd or 3rd, so San Jose. Yeah, and
San Jose.
And well, if it would have been better if he was in LA, but it's same state. Right. 5 was the Montreal where they took that defenseman, which
the German kid,
linebacker, yeah,
the linebacker, Steinbacker.
I think it's Linebacker.
Yeah, I can pull it up if you'd like.
And then Arizona being Arizona, I know the Suckos are the worst team ever, but they're close. But Arizona Coyotes take the cake of the worst franchise. They took 2 Russians who were not. It was a reach at 6 and 12. The guy they took at 12 was like not even regarded in the top 30. So, and then Philadelphia got lucky and took Mitch.
Yeah, Philadelphia got the Russian guy, and who may or may not be in the KHL for the next 3 years. If they pay I guess they pay the KHL off with enough $1 million and some vodka. Maybe we can get him back to the Philly sooner.
Well, Malkin had to escape to Finland illegally.
Right. Well, you know, me being a Red Wings fan in the '90s, like what all the Red Wings, the Russian 5 had to do to get over here. So.
Well, I know that they said every team can wait for him because the Flyers suck every year, so they're all bad. And
well, I think they were shocked that he fell down to 7 for them to even be able to get him. I think because people were skittish. What's that?
I thought he was going to get the whole 4-year thing. I thought he would either go to Montreal or San Jose, honestly.
Right.
And 8th was the Ryan Leonard. It was Tom Wilson 2.0, perfect for the Capitals.
Yeah, and I think the Capitals are pissed they didn't get their Russian with the Flyers going.
Dalibor Dabrowski or something, I think is the 9th pick. There's one more in the top 10, but I can't remember the name. I'm not going to look it up because I can't remember.
I can hang on. I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
That's a top 10. If you want to keep going, we can.
No, yeah, let's go. Well, I like the Flyers picked Radek Bonk's son in the 2nd round, and they also got Mike Knubel's son. They picked in like the 3rd round.
Yeah.
So Flyers are kind of keeping it in the family. We're getting some more kids, famous players. So yeah, we got Connor Bedard number 1. Like you said, Leo Carlson number 2. What do you think? So your dad's a season ticket Blue Jackets fan. What do you think of Adam Fantinelli as a?
That was the best option available, easily, because he was supposed to be.
You think he'll be a good player?
They say he's the best player. Well, they said anybody outside of if Bedard was not in this draft, anybody picked 2 through 5 would have been the first overall pick.
You think he'll be like the next Jeremy Roenick?
I think he's more of a. Yeah, that might be a good analysis.
Because he's American, right? That was my comparison. He's a center.
The Blue Jackets now have 6 players because you know how the whole Ohio State rivalry with Michigan. Because fuck, I live here and I hate both.
And he was born in 2004. It makes me feel old. He's 6'2" and he weighs 195 pounds and he shoots left.
But that's all you hear about. So Ohio State, Michigan, Ohio State. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah. It was, by the way, Montreal Canadiens pick is David Reinbacher.
Oh, I said Reinbacher.
Yeah. And then Flyers is Matevi. I'm going to regret not pronouncing this probably in a few years.
Mitchkov.
What is it?
Mitchkov. By Mitchkov.
Yeah, Mitchkov. So we'll see.
Who's the 10th pick?
The 10th pick is, Detroit got Nate Danielson and St. Louis Blues got Dalibor Dvorsky.
I forgot Nate Danielson because that's the boring ass baseball name. So that's probably why I forgot it.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, since my team, the Penguins, they drafted all Finnish players. I'm like, what the fuck? 3 out of the 5 were Finnish players. So there you go.
It might be a while to the Penguins become like how they were in the mid-2000s again.
I mean, they still have a chance.
They have to tank a couple of years in order to get a next number Crosby.
They're going to be terrible for like 3 years.
I agree, at least. Both PA teams are going to be kind of irrelevant, I think, for the next couple of years, unfortunately.
Capitals, Flyers, Penguins, yeah.
Much. Sad. Anyway, all right, so I guess that wraps up the NHL draft.
Yeah.
So did you watch the WWE pay-per-view, Money in the Bank?
Yeah, I watched some of it. I was running some of it. I ran the first part of it, and I caught the highlights, but I'm surprised Priest won.
Why are you surprised?
I thought it was going to be LA Knight because that's why everybody.
That's what everyone. I think everyone wanted LA Knight, but I think Triple H and Vince McMahon are like, well, fuck you. You want LA Knight? We're not going the route the fans want. We never do.
No, they never do.
No. And then of course there was rumors that Logan Paul would win, which I think would have caused a riot if he would have won the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
I mean, I was reading an article that they said that would have made best business as far as like outside, diehard fans would be more. Casual fans would have came in and watched it if he would have won, but I mean, I don't think he should win it. I know he's talented and all. Everyone's saying he's a great wrestler with very limited experience, but I'm glad he didn't win. I don't think somebody that's like celebrity should be winning the Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that whole celebrity thing. I mean, he has some athletic ability. I can't stand the son of a bitch. Sorry.
Right.
I mean, when he went to Japan and showed all his dead bodies of people.
Oh yeah.
I can't stand him, but
do you think how, because I watched Raw tonight, how soon do you think Damian Priest is going to cash in on Seth Rollins? Because Raw ended tonight where Finn Balor kind of cost him from cashing it in. So
I think it'll be a while.
The whole year?
Maybe Rumble, maybe. I don't know. It'll be a while. It's just my hunch. I don't think it'll be right now.
If he cashes it in and he's the champion, then what does that set it up? Does he hold the whole year till WrestleMania next year? And then who's like Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania in Philly?
He could have cashed it in on Roman Reigns. Who the hell knows?
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised Roman Reigns got his first pinfall since 2019 against one of his cousins.
Wasn't a title match.
No, right, but it's a regular pinfall. This is the first official pinfall he's gotten since 2019.
I mean, I don't know who's going to beat him for a title. If it's probably still going to be Rhodes somehow. They'll make it. He'll win the fucking Rumble and choose. Or I don't know. We'll see. I don't know who's going to beat him. What do you
think of Cena showing up again in the UK for?
It's just I agree with what he said because the crowds in the UK are fucking wild. They're like soccer fans or football fans. I watch a lot of it, but I think it's just a shot to hope. It's a shot to hope to get WrestleMania there, but I doubt they ever put it there. Although London and New York are classified as the 2 global Alpha Plus cities, meaning that they're like the 2 major cities in the entire world. So. It'll probably happen eventually, but I don't see them. I don't see Vince saying, "Oh, I want to go to England for the major pay-per-view." Triple H will do it, but
Eric Bischoff was quoted in like one of his podcasts in the past 24 hours. He said in the next 5 years that WrestleMania will be in the UK. So we'll see.
I mean,
what does he know though?
I mean, it probably if any place in the outside of North America, that's the only place I can see it.
Toronto, Canada again.
North
Outside North America.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, they had a really good show when they did that pay-per-view in Puerto Rico. That was where the crowd were crazy for that.
Sandus, son of a bitch, almost as much as Cena, maybe even more. The Australian guy came out and interrupted him. But it would be.
I can't stand Gunther. I know everyone's like, oh, he's going to be the next big thing. I can't stand him.
I don't like him. But I mean, Australia would be an interesting choice. It's possible.
Gunther making Gunther world champion would be like making Bob Backlund champion. How Bob Backlund had that boring ass run.
Well, another place I always thought they could do it easily because it's like life or death there is Japan because they love wrestling. Tokyo Dome WrestleMania would be amazing.
Yeah, but then they'd have to put Nakamura over in the main event.
Well,
he's getting buried right now.
Possible. She wanted Money in the Bank. If she becomes champion, you never know. They might do it.
Right. So, what do you think? I know you watch a little bit of AEW. What we were talking about this before the podcast. What did you think of Sting's match with Sammy Guevara there, and how should he be taking bumps like that at his age?
I didn't watch it, but I read the story. I saw the highlight of it, and he's like basically what Sting has been doing. Not as hardcore, obviously, but he's kind of like a modern day Terry Funk because he's still jumping off shit, 60-something years old.
He should leave that to Darby Allin at this point.
Yeah, I don't know how bad he's injured, but he did get injured. So
yeah, I think I heard he got knocked out or something, or he was bleeding. He hit his head on the table when he came down. I heard. And
I know that Brian Danielson, got a broken arm. Or apparently,
did he really? I didn't even know that. Wow. So, what's your thoughts on CM? We were supposed to talk about us before our last podcast, and all this has happened since the last one. With CM Punk has returned, and I did watch a little bit of Saturday Night Collision, and it's just, I don't know, the crowd was completely dead, and I know CM Punk, he was back with FTR in the back, and then he came out, and I don't know, I don't follow AEW as much as WWE, so I guess it was Ricky Sparks was with them, and I don't even know who the group is. They're like this quasi bullet club that CM Punk was feuding with.
It just happens. Shit happens. People come, people go. They don't have any fun.
Like you and I were saying, they have too many. AEW has too many people. And they don't know what the hell to do with all of them.
Yeah, they have no writers whatsoever.
It's like having like 500 employees and not knowing which ones they can fit in a shift and giving them hours.
Yeah, Tony Khan doesn't know what he's going to do. It'd be interesting to see that pay-per-view in Wembley. Wembley's 90,000. It's fucking huge.
Do you think that they were saying that they're having CM Punk? What do you think they're going to have him a big match, CM Punk, or?
I don't know who they're going to put over now. Drew McIntyre still with WWE because he couldn't come here anyway.
Right.
Because he was still under contract until after the pay-per-view.
Right.
So I don't know. Do they have a big British guy? I don't think they do.
Not that I know.
We'll see.
Did you see Jungle Boy turned heel? Jungle Boy Jack Perry turned heel.
That might be best for him because he was boring.
And he looks like Hyde from that '70s show.
I mean, he has awesome hair because it's better than
mine. And he cut a promo about how he's bagging the hottest chick in the locker room, which is Anna Jay, which I know you like.
He's got a point. She might be number one in the.
Did you hear Bubba Ray? I got to bring this up. I got heat with this dude because I've met him a couple times. He's an absolute prick. Did you see he went online, Bubba Ray, and he was saying that it was disrespectful to call Anna Jay the hottest bitch in the locker room. This is a guy that put women through tables. He put an 87-year-old Mae Young through tables and Stacy Keibler through tables, and now he's going to take the moral high road and say that Jack Perry shouldn't have called his girlfriend the bitch when he cut the promo when he turned heel last week.
They do have a lot of hot women in AEW. None of them can wrestle for shit usually. So she's right up there.
But I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about what's your thoughts on Bully Ray saying that the Jungle Boy shouldn't have said that. Like he was saying a couple weeks ago that the AEW should be more controversial and take more risk in promos. And then the second Jungle Boy Jack Perry cuts a heel promo where he curses and calls his girlfriend a bitch. But Billy Ray all of a sudden is now Pope John Paul or something where he's saying they should have used that in the promo.
Married to Velvet Sky, yes. I mean, she was hot. So
right, exactly. I mean, it's not. It's not like he was calling some random woman that. I mean, it's his girlfriend. I think he was saying it she's a bad bitch or something like that.
At all.
Right. Yeah. I said, I saw Bully Ray a couple times at convention. I met him one time, and at like a comic book convention. He was pretty nice. I had a Kiss shirt on and we were talking, but a couple other times I met him, he was completely stuck up. He just like stiffed everybody. He just wouldn't talk to people, wouldn't smile. Like, I don't have time for fucking like ECW guys to think they were like fucking world champions in WWE, you know?
Well, then you got the one that was world champion. He's so stoned out of his mind, Rob Van Dam. I love Van Dam, but
he just did an autograph signing in northern New Jersey. I heard he's a really nice guy, actually, Rob Van Dam.
Earth and shit. Hell, when he was on the WWE, the Hall of Fame draft or the draft, he had the cards that were like upside down. He was reading.
Yeah.
I'm like,
he owns like a comic book store in Detroit, Michigan, and he owns like a weed shop, like a dispensary.
Yeah, he has his own, like, I don't know if it's vape. It's not vapes, but it's like CBD maybe. I don't know. Yeah, oil. He has his own like weed, but
yeah, he's a cool guy. I'd meet him. I don't know, people watch this podcast because I told him about, but the guys from Subway Mania I told you about. One guy that dresses as Rob Van Dam went and met him, and Rob Van Dam's like filming him as he's coming up meeting him. So it was like cool. He seems like he's a really down to earth guy, Rob Van Dam.
Well, he got that name because they thought he looked like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
So. Oh yeah, and then his training when he was doing like mixed martial arts before he got into wrestling as a teenager.
He was so crazy because that deadlift, that split, and he did that weight, brought it up. He came up with that. It's called the Van Damme lift or something. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Imagine if those two guys actually did train together. Holy fuck! I'd be like, how do you do that?
They should have done a movie together, like Double Split or something, or I don't know, Doppelganger or something. We talked about the last podcast. There should have been another movie. It should have been a martial arts movie called Doppelganger with Rob Van Dam and
double team, but have like two guys that do splits, like because Robin can't do that shit.
But they'd be like, they'd be twin brothers or something. Rob Van Dam and Jean-Claude Van Damme. And
they already did that. They did Replicant. They did.
Oh, okay.
They did. It was another movie where he did his. Time Cop. There was another one where he was
Time Cop. Yeah. So, what was the movie? I was playing it for my daughter because she's a big. Cameron's a big basketball fan and she loves Dennis Rodman. What's the movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman?
Double Team.
Double Team. Yeah, I'd like that movie. I was watching it on Roku about a couple of months ago.
It was voted the worst new on-screen couple. But I should have brought it up. I almost picked it up for my movie of Underrated because it's so bad but it's cheesy good. I didn't bring it upstairs with me. It's probably more out of the blue than Rodman and Van Damme. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme and Rob Schneider together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's the name of that movie?
Called Knockoff. It failed miserably.
Really?
It's the same guy did Double Team with Van Damme.
I think it would be funny. Okay, I'm sorry.
Sui Hark was the guy. He's from Hong Kong. He did that. It failed. And he did the one with Rob Schneider and Van Damme, and it failed. So he said, screw America. He went back to Hong Kong. That's how bad it was received.
Wow. I think it would be funny if it was been Jean-Claude Van Damme and Rob Schneider. The comedian Rob Schneider?
Rob Schneider and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You should have played like Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo with Jean-Claude Van Damme as the character. That would have
3 or 4 years before Deuce Bigelow came out. Late 90s. It was like 97, 98.
That would have been funny. And there's a number of rare movies. We'll get into topic of movies. Is my running joke every time I go to the horror conventions and that guy's got DVDs, I ask him, "Hey, do you have a copy of Stone Cold with Brian Bosworth?"
Yeah.
Talking about the movies like Dennis Rodman with Jean-Claude Van Damme is another cult movie that I love is Stone Cold. I can't find that damn thing for under like $40 on Amazon.
I mean, Lance Henriksen's one of my favorites. He's in so many great movies. Near Dark's one of my favorite movies ever. You know Near Dark?
No, I've never heard that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Everybody says Lost Boys or everybody says Fright Night. Near Dark is easily the best vampire film.
I'll have to check that out. Have you ever seen Stone Cold with Brian Bosworth?
Yeah, I have it.
You have it?
Yeah, I have it.
On what?
A VHS.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You should burn it and go sell it at one of the conventions. I'll buy it from you.
Yeah. God forgives, but the Brotherhood doesn't.
Yeah, it's a good movie. The motorcycle, he's got the giant shotgun.
I like the two biker movies I love came out the same year. Stone Cold and the Charlie Sheen movie Beyond the Law. Both are amazing.
Right.
Have you seen Beyond the Law?
No. You're going to embarrass me in this podcast with movies now you're naming that I've never seen.
You ever seen Beyond the Law? The
No.
one scene where it's a TV movie where it is based on a true story, where a guy takes down 200 bikers. he goes undercover and he becomes one of them because he got so obsessed with their culture until
Really?
they kill an innocent Korean girl at a like a gas station, and then he's like, I gotta take these fuckers down, and it's based on the true story. And the guy that actually did that went undercover is in the movie as an extra.
It kind of sounds like the movie with Jason Strahan, was as a train spot. I don't know what he's got like the Asian girl in his trunk, and he's like they're trafficking people, and he goes and kills them all.
Oh no, it's nothing like that. It's just a bunch of. It's
the rest of this podcast should just be us naming off movies that neither of us have ever seen before.
Oh, I have so many. I'm going to show you some you probably never even heard of.
I'm sure you would. Anyway, you want to get into rock music now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got rock news. It's a bunch of stories that we're going to cover. A couple of them are Motley Crue. So Vince Neil said to the press, I can pull it up. What's that?
The key stop my heart.
I think it was Blabbermouth. I want to quote the source because I don't want to get in trouble for not quoting the source. But they're going to do a summer tour, 2024 tour. They've already said they're going to do.
Yeah, I think it was. Let me see.
While you're waiting to do, I'm going to start doing the Hulk Hogan. I got to get that in. We should have played Real American for 4th of July, the Hulk Hogan, Rick Derringer theme.
It was 1057 The Point. I don't know. It might be Blabbermouth. I didn't know.
Blabbermouth reported it too. Yeah. So what it is they're going to do? Another North American tour?
ABC News.
The BBC. So they're going to do another tour next summer, North America, I guess.
Yeah.
Backing tracks and all.
We'll see. I mean, this whole thing with Motley Crue is all messed up because Mick Mars says it. Now he's saying that on the last few studio albums that he never played most of it. They had somebody come in and cover his parts and re-record over his parts. I'm like, that's bullshit. Because if you listen to, I mean, I love Mick Mars. Don't get me wrong. He's my favorite member of Motley Crue. He's the only coolest guy in the band, real guy in the band, actually. But he was saying that basically he barely played and they had somebody come in and re-record his guitar work. But if you listen to like Saints of Los Angeles and you listen to New Tattoo, not counting like stupid Generation Swan because it's a totally different sound. It sounds just like the 80s Motley Crue. It's not very good, but it sounds like the same tone, his guitar tone and everything. You can tell. So I don't know what's going on. Who the hell knows? I mean, that whole band is starting to be as
it's like a soap opera.
Well, Journey's worse, but that's a different story.
What's that?
I said Journey's at worse because Neil Sean.
Yeah, we were talking about that, but but wasn't the rumors that came out since the last podcast that someone accused Nikki Sixx that he was using like somebody else in the studio too, or
no? They were saying that he. Well, there was the quote saying, "I think this had to be a lie because why would he even say this?" But it said something about Nikki was didn't even know how to play bass at all in the first late Motley Crue, like late 80s or something. I'm like, I mean, he's not a great bass player. I like Nikki. I mean, I always liked Nikki, but he's not very good. When you look at like Steve Harris, Iron Maiden, or what's his name, Billy Sheehan and Mr. Big and David Lee Roth, Nikki Sixx couldn't hold a candle to either of those guys. Or Geddy Lee was amazing. So Nikki Sixx is not good in terms of compared to those guys. Not even close.
Right.
So the band that are really good, talented, Tommy Lee, Mick Mars.
Anybody can play drums upside down has got talent.
Yeah, I've seen it firsthand. Like I was right below.
Live too, yeah.
Even though he's an asshole, that's a different story.
Sure, absolutely. So speaking, going to still talking about Motley Crue, I just saw this story recently, but apparently I did some research, and the story had broke around November of last fall, around Thanksgiving, that I guess before they started this tour a year or two ago, Motley Crue had asked Scott Stapp to join them as the new lead singer, and
I don't think that's going to happen.
It's a true story though, and Scott Stapp declined the offer. So what's interesting is who was it Tommy Lee and Nikki Sixx? Who was recruiting Scott Stapp to be the new singer of Motley Crue?
Dude, because when it started with Motley Crue, it was Tommy Lee. I don't know if you know the story. I'm a big Motley Crue fan.
Yeah, I know the story. But go ahead. I'm going to pull up the story though. But go ahead. I'm listening.
It started with Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee. They were like in LA together. They wanted to form a band. And
they wanted to call themselves Christmas or Xmas, right?
Well, I don't know about that. But they put out flyers and they're looking and well, what happened was they were looking for members and some Mick Mars under it wasn't known as Mick Mars yet, but I think it was under his real name, maybe Richard Allen Deal. He's like, he put out a flyer that said something about darkest, crudest guitar player, mean guitar player, and they read it or something. They're like, we got to meet this guy, and so they saw him play, they met him, or I don't know the details, and they brought him into the band, and they saw Vince perform with a band live, and they're like, this guy's cool, let's get him. So it started with Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee, and it's still much Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee run the fucking band.
Yeah, because then they bring in Vince Neil, like they audition him, right? At least in the movie The Dirt, his girlfriend wasn't happy about it. He was doing like party shows and singing, and they invited him over to audition, right?
I saw him perform. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I never watched the movie, but I know how it went, and they saw him.
You never watched The Dirt?
I never read it or never watched it. No.
I never read the book, but the Netflix movie is actually pretty good. Ironically, he wears the Nikki Sixx. Not Nikki Sixx. Tommy Lee wears a Hulkamania shirt at the beginning of the movie when he's playing drums. Well, at least Machine Gun Kelly playing him does.
Yeah, that's the one reason I didn't watch it. I'm like, fuck that.
Machine Gun Kelly. He does a pretty good job, though. I think even though he doesn't look like him facially, he's tall. He's got like the body structure. He does a good job, but like you start forgetting it's not. You know what I mean? Like I'm watching it. You don't realize, like you start to forget it's somebody playing Tommy Lee. I like we talked about the Tommy and Pam Hulu series. Did you watch that?
I never watched that, no.
Yeah, I watched all that too. And even though he's too like 5'5", Sebastian Shaw or Sebastian Stan. He's like 5'5", and he looked like I've talked about this with friends before, but he's like, you start to forget it's not Tommy Lee. That's how good he is. So even though he's short, he looks like he doesn't like moderately looks like Tommy Lee in the movie, but it's his mannerisms and how he talks that you actually start thinking you're watching Tommy Lee. And then the girl that plays Pamela Anderson, she's amazing. I mean, how she looks in real life, she doesn't even look like Pamela Anderson. She's a British actress. I feel bad. I don't know the name, though. I should have this on the podcast. But she used some prosthetics, and they didn't use CGI. They used mostly prosthetics for like her mouth and her eyebrows. And then she I don't know if she wore wigs or bleached her hair, but I mean, I watched it with my wife when it came out. I mean, I thought I was watching Pamela Anderson. That's how good she was. It's a good series. It really is. It really takes you back to that era when, Motley Crue was down and out and grunge had died at that point, and like mid-90s. It's a good series. So let me read you the story so we can get the official. The original rumors Scott Stapp was going to be replacing troubled Creed vocalist Vince Neil has found itself now at a dead end, as word coming from Creed camp is that Scott has purposely rejected the offer from Nikki Sixx to join Motley Crue, so the band's new singer for the legendary glam metal band's upcoming world tour. The reason he declined Sixx's offer is because of the band's usage of backing tracks during their live shows, believe it or not. So that is absolutely hysterical to me, to somebody like Scott Stapp, who, I'm sure you're not a fan of musically, vocally. He's like, no, man, this is not good enough for me.
So he didn't. He rejected them with their arms wide open.
Well, I think I don't know. We talked about it before. I would just love to be a fly on the wall. Just even though it probably never got to that, I just wanted to hear Scott Stapp, like I want to hear him just sing like 2 Motley Crue songs and how that would have sounded. I have that in my head now, how it would sound.
I wouldn't vouch for John Corabi, but the problem is John Corabi's only backer is Mick Mars, so that wouldn't work. Actually, when they retired the first time because they said his condition was too bad, even though he was still touring with them after they came back, he's like, "Well, I'll just make an album with John Corabi again." So, but
right, I'm on my way. That's how it was.
Yeah.
All right, still sticking on music news. News broke this week. The Kiss. This is a big story, and I know a couple people will probably watch our podcast will be interested in this. So apparently, the rumor was that Ace Frehley and Peter Criss declined the offer from Gene and Paul to come back and appear at two of the final Madison Square Garden shows in New York. And I don't know if it's October or December. I have to look up the dates. And they declined. I can pull the story up. What's your thoughts on that?
It's early December.
It's December, yeah.
Early December. I think it's just like smoke and mirrors because Gene and Paul don't like Ace, and well, maybe Peter Criss. Peter Criss has always been the quiet one, so
right.
He hasn't done anything forever. So if anybody declined, if it was true, I would say Peter Criss probably did. But Ace Frehley is still active, and he's always arguing back and forth with those two. So who the hell knows with that? So it's hard to tell which ones, are telling the truth or.
I'll try to pull up. Let me see if I can pull up this story. I think we talked about this on the phone. I think my take is probably the same as yours. As much as I love Kiss and Gene and Paul, and I've argued with people online. I argued with people a couple of weeks ago online because it was Tommy Thayer's birthday, and people were like scab and calling him all kinds of names, and I'm like, Tommy Thayer's been in Kiss as long as Ace. If not longer than Ace's two stints now, and everyone's issues with him as well. It's not his fault that Paul and Gene made him wear Ace's makeup. If he would have had his own original makeup, maybe people would be so hard on him. I don't know, but he's a very talented musician, and he was an understudy to Ace Frehley. And anyway, what I was about to get at is like with Gene and Paul. I can't help but think that this is just a PR stunt move by them to make themselves look good in good grace. And
surprise me if it is.
Yeah, to make it look like, oh, we extended an olive branch, but they didn't want to come on that and appear at the final couple shows.
Well, I don't know why he didn't have his own paint, because if you remember the strange guy, Vinnie Vincent.
The Pharaoh with the sink. Yeah, Vinnie Vincent.
Mm-hmm. He had his own. Yeah.
There's rumors Eric Singer was going to be the Hawk, and they even made up the makeup, and then they said, excuse me, I got to wipe my nose here. They even said Eric Carr was going to do the Hawk, and they even had the makeup made up, and I guess they said it didn't look right. Was it the Fox? What?
Was it the Fox? Because I think it's the Fox.
No. Eric Carr was the Fox.
Well, I got that his self-titled album on a record store day, and it said Eric Carr. Well, maybe I thought it said Fox, but yeah, you're right.
He was going to be an eagle, because I think there was a running joke is they made fun of his nose. I guess his nose is he has kind of like my nose probably, but he was going to be called the Hawk, and I guess the makeup didn't look right. And but yeah, I think Tommy Thayer's done a great job in Kiss, even though and of course he's made 2 albums with Kiss. He did Monster. Is it Monster?
Monster and Sonic Boom.
Yeah, and
I know Ace Frehley played a little bit on Psycho Circus, but I think Eric Thayer played most of it, so he might have been on a lot of that too. But I'm not.
Well, let me see if I can pull this story up though with Kiss, because I wanted to see what this is NMEnews.com. Yeah, Peter Criss and Ace Frehley declined offer to return for last ever show. Says Gene Simmons. So the quote here you go. Consider the source. Peter Criss and Ace Frehley declined the offer to return for the last ever Kiss show. Says Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons is the biggest huckster, ringmaster. The band's final will take place at Madison Square Garden in December. Gene Simmons has revealed he asked former Kiss members Peter Criss and Ace Frehley to perform at the band's last shows, but both refused. Kiss was in the middle of their farewell tour, blah, 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 blah. Fans had hoped Criss and Frehley would make an appearance at Kiss's last shows, but the chances of that happening appear slim, seeing as Simmons has claimed multiple offers were made and declined. For the older fans, the ones who've around for 50 years, they're old. I don't know. This goes on and on and on. Anyway, so consider the source. It's Gene, spitting like Gene does.
Well, I don't trust Gene Simmons, because I don't know if you know this, about 10 years ago, the Dio metal horn sign.
Yes.
He tried to sue Dio or his wife, whatever. I don't know who it was, because he said
widow, I guess if Dio wasn't alive at that point.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh no, that was me that came up with that," or I'm like, "You." And I'm
well, all right. You know how Ronnie James Dio came up with this? You probably know this.
Grandmother.
Yes, I'm Sicilian. I'm Italian. His Italian old grandmother did. They tore that. It's just a word off evil spirits in Italian culture. So that's I don't have any doubt in my mind Ronnie James Dio came up with it, not Gene Simmons.
Yeah, but he's not assuming for that. So,
Of course. Anyway, so what we covered music. Was any other music news? Guns N' Roses going on summer tour. We know that, and I think maybe our next episode we'll cover our top 10, top 5 or 10 Guns N' Roses songs, perhaps.
well, that's my favorite band. So I don't know if I can do songs, but
Really, I thought Journey's your favorite band.
well, they got me into music, Guns N' Roses. So it's 1 and 2.
Me too.
So it's Guns N' Roses, Journey, whatever, either one. But Journey maybe in terms of listening to it more because there's just more to listen to. Guns N'
Right.
Roses fucking songs, constant, because they don't do anything else. And speaking of people in music that are big pricks, Neil Sean might get my vote.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Maybe because I don't know if it's just him, but people say Steve Perry was that way. Both Steve Perry and Neil Sean were that way. John McCain hated Neil Sean. I don't know. It's a whole different topic.
Right.
Well,
Sorry, that was my Steve Perry.
What was that?
Should have been gone.
Yeah. Oh, Sherry. Yeah.
Yours is better. I like yours more. Anyway, so we want to do our movies topics because we did about a half an hour. Let's get into movies.
Well, the Guns N' Roses. Well, we'll probably go over a little bit because I have a lot of movies. But the Guns N' Roses thing, I might go to Pittsburgh show. I'm not sure. I already saw it.
We were talking, yeah.
So I don't know if I'll go. It's not going to top that, obviously. I might go, might not. I don't know. I haven't decided. And this tour never keeps ending. It just keeps going and going. I'm waiting for new music, not rehashes of old songs like they just released. I want a new album, but it'll probably never happen.
Still, they should call it "Still Not in This Lifetime."
Even though Slash is like, my head keeps turning. I'm trying to trade into the thing because it's on this laptop.
Right.
Slash is like, oh, we have new music, but they've been saying that, or we're going to record an album. He's been saying that since they got back together. So I doubt it.
My concern is I'm a big Guns N' Roses fan. Guns N' Roses is my favorite band, but maybe he would do better in the studio. But I just be concerned for Axl's voice.
Anything fixable in the studio is just not live. Vince Neil could sound good in the studio because
that's true. But then my concern is then they have to perform it live, so it's going to have to be more. Axl's doing more of his baritone voice than he does the high pitched stuff he used to do. So
I don't think we care about seeing it live. We just want a new album.
I agree. I mean, Chinese Democracy, the last album in 2008. I mean, it's as old as my daughter. It's 16 years old, 17 years old, or no, 15 years old.
I'm weird. Like Chinese Democracy, of course, it doesn't hold a candle to the classic stuff, but I like it. A lot of people hate it, but
I like Better.
That's one of the best songs. Streets of Dreams, Better. Madagascar. Prostitute. There's a lot of good songs on it, to be honest. I mean, it's not as good as obviously usually.
Yeah, I like Madagascar. That's a good song.
But I think it's better than most people give it credit for. It's a different sound. That the Axl sounds amazing on the album, but the musician sucks because those guys are terrible.
You can hear on Chinese Democracy too how the whole probably when Axl started the idea to do it when he fired everyone else from Guns N' Roses and took the name in the late 90s and they did End of Days soundtrack with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Axl wanted to do synthesizer shit because he wanted to be like Nine Inch Nails and you can hear like you almost can hear like how Axl is. He was trying to keep up with the trends of what was popular with new metal. You can hear almost all the different sounds of that in that album of like
Tackler's Revenge is definitely alternative metal type shit, like Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, you can really hear like that whole period of what he was trying to do had he would have released it on time, and then you can just each song sounds different almost.
And he does have the cornrows too.
Oh my god! I remember when he came back to the MTV Music Awards in 2002 with the cornrows and the facelift. I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Speaking of it is kind of a new metal type of sound, but I mean, there's also the ballads like "Street of Dreams" is probably my favorite song on the album. It's an old school classic Guns N' Roses song, but it's just he sounds great on the record. It's one of his best vocals, but the band's just not up to par like it was, especially live. I mean, you get the main three members, but the drummer, he sucks. Right. I mean, it's just not the same. But I mean, that's all. ever since I swear to God, I'm not a big Izzy Stradlin guy, but I think he was the glue to keep all the shit together. And once he left, it all went downhill, pretty much.
Yeah, I
And
love Gilby Clark. Yeah,
he's cool, but Izzy Stradlin was the guy he replaced, the original member, and he seemed like he was the one that kept everybody's shit together, pretty much. And he was the first to leave. Once he left, it all went downhill after that.
Yeah,
but
he would have
all now. So
I remember when Izzy no showed for the "You Could Be Mine" video. That was the whole final. That was the big blow up, right? He wasn't in that video. That's when they had the falling out. That's when he quit.
I don't know. Well, he wasn't?
No. I don't quote me. I don't want to be wrong and be a liar on video here, but no, I think Izzy's not in the "You Could Be Mine" video because at the end they're performing in an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah,
he scans his eyes at Axel. It's like not worth the ammunition or something.
Yeah, they show all the band members. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Izzy's not in. That's when he left, and that's when they brought Gilby Clark in. But so fun question: if Guns N' Roses ever does a farewell tour, will Buckethead not be invited?
Or DJ Ashba? Oh God.
Yeah, they'll spin it. They decline the offer like Kiss. Now I'm happy Guns N' Roses is touring. Don't get me wrong. It's been my dream since I was a teenager to actually see Slash and Duff and Axl together. But it still kind of feels a little half empty-handed when there's no Izzy and there's no
Steven Adler.
There's no Matt Sorum or Steven Adler. Yeah,
Well, I saw Slash and Duff together one time first with Velvet Revolver, and they still kicked ass with Velvet Revolver. So
I had tickets to see Velvet Revolver. I think I told you that story. I got sick and I couldn't go.
I mean, I'm not a Scott Weiland fan. I never was, but I mean, they sounded good. So
poor guy. I liked STP. I mean, I like some of their songs.
The only grunge band, if you consider them grunge, are they grunge?
Who?
Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Their early stuff was anyway, but then he did like the whole glam, like David Bowie stuff and the music from the Vatican gift shop or stuff in the late 90s. Then he went, his voice went from like, everyone was like trying to copy each other with grunge sound. And then by the late 90s, Scott Weiland's voice went really like higher range and he started sounding more like Bowie.
Well, they're the only band I can think of that's grunge because I can't stand grunge. That's not from Seattle.
No, San Diego. Yeah.
Still West Coast, but it's not Seattle.
Right. Yeah, I like, if you get a chance, listen to Sour Girl by Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah, well.
Fun fact, so you watch the video, Sarah Michelle Gellar's in it.
Well, yeah, a lot of those bands started out, or those actresses and actors started out. Well, I listen to Soul Asylum rarely, but they're not considered a grunge. They're
right. They weren't considered grunge, but I always thought they had the sound and the look. I thought.
Yeah, had the flannels and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Claire Danes was in one of their videos.
Really? I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, Just Like Anyone.
Okay.
From the second.
We're going to have to do a whole topic because we're going to get into movies now. We should do a whole topic. We're going to talk about rock stars that have been in movies. We should do actresses that have been cameos in music videos of rock bands.
Well, it'd be hard to do it off the top of my head, but I can do a few. If you want to do that now.
Do we have time? We're at 43 minutes. You want to go
an hour? I watched a video of guys talking about Rush albums. It was like an hour and 20 minutes.
All right, it's up to you. We can go. I only know one. I would only have one or two.
Yeah, I have a few. The rarest one, because I'm a rare hair metal guy. And speaking of Journey, the guy sounds like Steve Perry, looked like Steve Perry, tried out for Steve Perry's job. Hugo Valentine. Valentine's the band. He sounds like Steve Perry. He's now in a Steve Perry tribute band, but they released a video called No Way. I think I showed it to you before, 1991 or 1991. Ali Sheedy was.
Yes, she's a limo driver. She's stalking them. Yes. I love that video.
There's Ali Sheedy and that No Way Valentine. There's Claire Danes and Just Like Anyone. And this one has a lot. A Hole in My Soul, Aerosmith from 9 Lives. First ever appearance by Stifler, even though he's not female. He's in it. Alexandra Holden, who was really a beautiful woman. She was B-movie actress. I think she was in TV shows. She was the star of it. And there's Ava Mendes also. All three.
Oh, yeah, Ava Mendes, sure.
That video. So that was their first major video. And, of course, Aerosmith, Liv Tyler,
Yeah, you took my 2 picks: Liv Tyler, and Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah, I mean, I could do more, a couple more
I'll
guys.
give you a couple. Alicia Cupper from the Weezer video. I love the song, and I can't think of the damn name of the song now.
You,
Perfect situation.
like I said, I wouldn't know.
Well, in the video, she's the lead. She's the original lead singer of Weezer in the video, and he's the roadie. And then she's like a diva, and they fire her, and he becomes the lead singer. So they did like a backstory and put like a joke, like how. Another one I could think of is I think Courtney Cox was in one of Counting. I hate them, but I'll mention it. A Counting Crow video. Courtney Cox was in because I think the singer, was dating her at that point.
Yeah, there's probably more that I just can't think
of. Okay, I'll give you here's my 3. I gave 3. One more. The biggest one is probably the most obvious. Stephanie Seymour, even though she's a model, in Don't Cry and November Rain.
Not really famous. She just dated Axel.
I mean, she was famous around that time. That was like Claudia Schiffer and like Rebecca Romaine and Cindy Crawford and her. I mean, they were the it girls of the early 90s.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know much about models, so.
What do I know about models? You just.
I mean, I know the names, but I'm just saying, I mean.
Sorry.
It's not like a movie star, so.
Right.
And I guess she left Axel, and that was the last time Axel was engaged, and I don't think it'll ever be again. I think he's always been single since.
There was a link to Axel and Lana Del Rey about 12 years ago, which the age difference then was crazy, but
yeah, I don't know.
Well, she showed up late at the Glastonbury Festival in UK last week, so maybe she's taking a page out of Axel's book. Maybe she learned from him.
With Guns N' Roses, because it came up on my feed.
What's that?
My Facebook feed. It said the Glastonbury people that run it thought that was the worst ever headlining or one.
I heard that they were mad. They thought Guns N' Roses' performance was horrible. Lana Del Rey showed up late, like Axel.
When I saw Axel, he was early. It was before the sun went down. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, he's getting mellow in his old age.
Yeah.
All right. What's that?
Fucking Carrie Underwood with him now. I'm like,
I was just gonna say, she's a big Guns N' Roses fan, though. She loves Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, that might be why, but still.
She would end her shows when her concerts would end and the lights would come on. She'd play "Knocking on Heaven's Door" by Guns N' Roses version.
Well, yeah, it's definitely not the same Axel because he performed at Lisa Marie Presley's funeral, and
yeah,
it's not the same Axel hit his old lady's neighbor over the head with a beer bottle for saying they were practicing too loud for it. It's not the same.
Right next door to Hal, yeah.
All right, we can start movies now.
All right. So what do you want to do your list of? We'll take turns of your favorite horror movies that take place in summer, and then our cult movies.
Yeah, I'll do. These aren't my favorites, but one of them is. But before we get started, I just didn't want to do the same old shit that everybody's seen, like Friday the 13th. I already did my favorite franchise. I already did a ranking on my channel. So I just picked a lot of. Other than a couple on both ends here, I picked a lot of rare or underrated films I thought. So I figured I would do that. So
okay.
You want to go first?
What's that?
You want to go first?
No, you go first. I'm just going to cough up a lung. I'll be right back. Go ahead. You do the first one. I'm right there.
Okay. Well, the first movie I have, you're a big Jamie Lee Curtis fan, right?
Am I a big Jamie Lee Curtis fan?
Yeah.
No, I don't like her at all. I think.
Okay. Well, you know her slasher run, right? No.
Yes, I'm familiar.
There's one you probably don't know that I'm going to show right now.
Okay.
Road Games.
Never heard of it.
It's a 1981 slasher movie, thriller, starring Jamie Lee Curtis and Stacy Keach. He's a truck driver. Stacy Keach is a truck driver, picks her up, and it's an Australian movie. It's set in Australia in the outback, and there's a killer picking up like these drifters and killing them, and they're targeting Jamie Lee Curtis and the truck driver Stacy Keach. It's like a thriller.
Right.
It's very underrated. No one ever talks about this as in her run from like Halloween, Prom Night, all those movies in the early 80s. Terror Train. This one's always forgotten. Most people don't even know the damn thing. And It's Road Games, and
Road Games.
And I wanted to put this on here first because it's Australian. I want to get some international,
Right.
movies. So that's my first choice. It's Road Game from 1981.
And it takes place in the summer?
Yeah, it's hot, so
okay.
I assume it's summertime, which would be wintertime here, but it's summer there.
All right, I'm going to go with my first pick, favorite horror movies that take place in the summer. I'm going to make it an annual tradition. It was Uncle Sam is my all-time favorite horror movie that takes place in the summer. And thanks to you, Cody, for introducing that movie, that piece of garbage to me. But I absolutely love it.
And it's the same guy that did one of my favorite slash movies ever, but it takes place in wintertime, so I don't have it on this video. Maniac. Same director.
Maniac,
yes.
Yeah. When I first watched it, and I talked to you about it afterwards, I had so many questions about the movie because the plot line made absolutely zero sense to Uncle Sam.
At all. Where he gets killed. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. He's like a demon soldier, comes back pissed off that people are disrespecting America. It's really weird. Yeah.
But he talks to his nephew because the kid likes G.I. Joe figures.
It's really
and then there's this other kid that they never mention why he's in a wheelchair, burned with blind or something. But this kid has like a sixth sense, and he knows that Uncle Sam is coming when no one else believes him at the 4th of July parties or something outside. And then the aunt, and then the colonel that's like hitting on the aunt and her niece or whatever, and they're like I don't know why, but they hate men in the movie. There's so many subplots to Uncle Sam that I can't wrap my head around it.
That makes no sense at all.
Or how isn't he like walking around stilts at night down the street before he kills people?
Well, that one guy's on stilts because he's looking.
Okay, but he replaces him. He like takes it from the guy or something, right?
Yeah, and he's I think he is. It's been a while since I watched it a couple years ago. And I haven't watched it since, but yeah, he kills the guy that's on stilts, and I think he takes them and he walks.
The movie's so ridiculous.
It's bad.
All right, what's your next pick?
Well, I found this the other day. I forgot I had it. I have it on DVD. This is sealed on VHS, and it's a perfect movie for summertime because all the little son of a bitches are out, and I can't stand them. Children of the Corn. I never like kids. Kids drive me nuts. It's not their fault. It's a lot of times it's the parents' fault because
it's their parents' fault for having them.
Well, that and they don't discipline them enough. But this is sealed. Of course, I don't need to really talk about much about this movie.
Right.
Isaac and the Courtney Gaines. What's his name on Malachi? Outlander. Yeah, and they kill all the adults. Yeah. Middle of nowhere, Nebraska. This is really the Children of the Corn started out like really good. This movie, I really like this movie, Linda Hamilton. Then the sequels are just like really terrible. 2 was okay. 3 was when they went to the city. The two brothers went to the city. And, they terrorized everybody in Chicago. That was all right. And after that, there was the Naomi Watts movie, or first, no, it wasn't her first, I don't think, but she was in the 4th one. It's really, they all went to crap. I haven't even seen all of them, but it's a perfect summer movie because it takes place in summer in Nebraska. Kids are out of school, so road trip in the summertime.
They should have done Children of the Popcorn and then did a version in Mexico called Children of the Mace. They could have done all different versions.
Well, I have the movie Popcorn, but it's not
okay.
It's a good and underrated slasher movie. Check it out.
Oh, well. All right. So my next choice for horror movies that take place in the summer is I have a couple. Okay. God, I don't know how many we're going to do, but let me do the ones I like the best. I'm going to do Lost Boys as my second pick.
I didn't pick that one because I figured it's so popular that you would.
Right. I mean, that's just a good movie. That's, to me, is a perfect Joel Schumacher. Totally 80s, represents the whole 80s era there, and who could forget Saxophone Guy and the Doors banner inside and all the running memes that have been created from Saxophone Guy and
conventions. Tim Capello does conventions for that appearance.
Fun fact: do you know that James Patrick was originally wanted to be? They wanted to cast him as Jim Morrison in the Doors movie.
He kind of looks like him.
Well, that's how they kind of paid homage. They wanted him to kind of look like Jim Morrison in the movie, and then when they go in the cave, there's a Jim Morrison like a banner poster hanging in the cave. I mean, there's just so many great lines. The Frog Brothers and this movie is a great horror movie. And Santa, whatever, the pier with the motorcycles and Keith Sutherland. So that's my second pick for summer horror movies.
I think
what do you got?
Out Near Dark. I'm telling you, it's Bill Paxton's role in Near Dark is amazing.
Is that your pick for your next one?
No, I'm just saying that's my favorite vampire film.
Okay. What's your third pick?
Another one that's a lot of people probably don't know or don't remember. I picked this one just because it's takes place in the summertime at a school reunion, and it's Slaughter High from
Slaughter High. Okay.
Where they torment this kid when he was younger, and they burn him with acid, and he comes back, and there's this basically this class reunion he sets up for all the people that bullied him at the now closed defunct high school. And it's in the summertime. They go there, and all their pictures are up on the wall, and they have their lockers and everything. And he picks them off one by one in a jester mask, which is really amazing looking. One of the coolest outfits. And he electrocutes people having sex. He drowns the person in like a drain basin. It's a cool movie.
This sounds like a lot like we talked about this before. You and I Massacre at Central High, which I loved. Yeah.
It's similar, but it's at a closed building. It's not during a high school.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Where he gets back at the people that bullied him, pretty much. But it's not as exploitive as this is just standard slasher movie. That one's a more exploitive revenge film. This is a revenge film, but it's more of a slasher film because he has a
the one I mentioned? You mean Massacre at Central High?
Yeah, that one. Yes.
Yeah.
That's more in depth. This is just slasher.
Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen Massacre at Central High?
I want to watch it, but yeah, I
taped it up at TBS in high school when I was a kid, a teenager.
I wonder.
There's a scene. The entire pool's drained, and I guess he takes his sign off. And you and I talked about this too. The guy he's a diver. He's trying to get back at all the guys that bullied him, and the guy jumps in the pool, and of course cracks his head open and dies. But how could you not see there was no water in the pool, even with the lights off in the pool at night?
That's the 80s for you, but that's my third underrated horror film. Right. Summer.
All right, my next choice for horror movies to take place in summer that I'm a fan of is I know you're not going to like this, but the Purge movies. As we're about to hit 4th of July here, it is now 4th of July. It's 3 a.m. Eastern. Purge movies. I don't know. I always just feel like when 4th of July comes around every year, people light off fireworks at all hours of the night, and just watching the news now here in Philadelphia, there's like a huge shooting in the city. Like, I don't know. You always, to me, 4th of July always has this weird energy to it. I always say like the 4th of July at night. When it's nighttime, it always has this weird like energy to it. So that's why I like the Purge movies, because it kind of just feels off this kind of like anarchy, kind of weird. You don't know what's going to happen with people doing shit out at night and lighting off fireworks, or So that's why I picked the Purge movie.
I'd ran at night here because nothing ever happens in this stupid town, and I would have my music on out here, boom, damn fireworks on.
Right.
So I got one no one knows next. You've never heard of the original. The original sucks. This is one of the rare cases where the sequel was better, even though it's a C movie, both of them. Shit, how I do this. Bloody Murder 2.
Bloody Murder 2 is a complete ripoff of Jason's Mask.
Yes, it is. It's a ripoff. And they have the original. It has him with a chainsaw on the cover. Trevor Morehouse is.
Why did it just put Freddy Krueger claws on his hands with the mask? And at this point, this
Camp 2, they had the Freddy Krueger claws on the back. Yeah, it's weird.
Right.
But yeah, it's basically the girl goes back to the camp the year before where Trevor Morehouse killed like 2 people because the movie's fucking terrible. It's Bloody Murder is one of the worst movies of the 2000s. It has him with a chainsaw on the cover. The first one, it's Texas Chainsaw.
Right.
And it's a lot better. I mean, I'd say it's better, but there's better killing. There's more killing. It's better made. And the token black guy says, "I'm not going alone because you know what happens with I'm the only black guy here. Of course, he dies. That's
right.
What happens." And there's good kills. And the sister of the boy that was killed in the first movie goes back to the camp, and Trevor Morehouse comes to stalk her, and she has nightmares of him, and there's a final girl scene, and they end up killing him. It's just a typical
Right.
$500 slasher movie, pretty much. But I really enjoyed Bloody Murder 2, and also has a Scream Queen. I don't know if you know her, Tiffany Sheepis. She's kind of known in the B movie Scream Queens. She's in it too. So Bloody Murder 2.
Cool.
She was going to be at the PA Horror Con that one year we went, but she canceled.
Oh, okay.
I was going to have it signed.
Right.
She'd be like, "What the hell?" I rented that movie when it came out in 2001, 2002.
On VHS or DVD? What was out at that point? Because that's when everything was switching over.
It was at the Giant Eagle, and they only had DVDs. I think it was DVDs.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. All right. So my last, I don't know if I'm up to 4 or 5. I'm going to give you one last pick, though. If you have one more, it's fine. It's going to be sleep. I have 2 more. Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, a classic.
You met Felicia.
Felissa, yeah.
Felissa, sorry.
She's at every damn thing. She's like at every convention.
She's so nice too. She's really nice to meet in person.
She always posts pictures of people and she gives them hugs. She signed 3 things free for me. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that movie. And I mean, when we talk about if we ever did a podcast episode of most shocking endings of movies, that would have to be up there as number 1. It's
probably my number 1 in terms of shocking endings.
Well, when you first told me about that movie and we watched it together, and you're like, well, wait till you see the end. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. And then you told me the whole backstory or whatever. I don't know. Did they use a prosthetic or what did they use for that?
Well, she said in an interview what they used a boy that looked like her, that was really small kind of. And so it was an actual boy they used. And they just used her face, I guess, but they used his body or something like that.
The image of her face is just, the whole thing is just terrifying.
And she does that on her, on her.
Yeah, and it looks like claymation. It doesn't even look like, and this is before CGI. It doesn't even look like it doesn't.
Well, she said they used a real boy. So we'll see. I mean,
we'll see.
I don't know.
Will we see if there's another male actor that ever comes forward that claims that it was him?
Well, she said, I did watch an interview. She said something about it was they used an actual stand-in. So
okay. Maybe next time you meet her, you can ask her directly and get the.
Yeah, I never thought of that. I never thought I will next time, but I did see a picture of her recently at one of her billion cons she goes to. Somebody had a curling iron with her and took a picture because the curling iron scene.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's innovative, I guess.
Oh,
and she even had a strap-on dildo at some of her conventions. And
yeah, I think you told me that. It's crazy. All right, so is that all? Do we have it?
Did you have the one you want to talk about? I have it here. If you want to talk about it.
What? Which one? I don't know. Just show me.
The Detroit Sun owners one. You can do that after my.
Oh, all right. That'll be my last one. Yeah, it was hard. Help me out. What was it? What did you have?
Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Oh, Slumber Party Massacre. Yeah, that's my last one. Slumber Party Massacre 2 is a cool summer horror movie, and it's Illich's son from the owner of the Detroit Red Wings, and Crystal Bernard, better known from Wings. Yeah. And he plays a rockabilly murderer that comes back and kills them.
The guitar next to a drill head. So yeah, and it's supernatural. It's really weird. It's fucking strange.
It's a good cult classic. It should be listed on one of my cult classic favorites.
I prefer the original, but that's just me. But
I found it on Roku. That's how I found it.
I mean, you can talk about it because I can show it when you talk about it.
No, it's fine. It's well listed. That's all. That's my list.
Well, here it is then.
Okay. Yeah, show it. Oh, you have it on Laserdisc. That's awesome. The artwork is awesome for that movie.
Yeah, you can see the damn. I don't know how this works. I can't do it right. You can see the guitar and the head.
Right.
Yeah, the drill head. I got 2 more. I'll just do both of them.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite movies ever, and slasher film or fans will know this right away. The Burning.
The Burning. Yeah, you mentioned that summer movie, horror movie.
The special effects, the raft scene where he kills like 5 people in 10 seconds. It's one of the most famous, if not the most famous slasher kill of all time. It has a bunch of upcoming famous people. George Costanza was in it.
Jason Alexander, yeah.
And he's the comic relief, of course.
Of course.
He has hair.
Is he a marine biologist in it?
No, he's just a joker. I mean,
the Seinfeld joke. Never mind.
Yeah. Fisher Stevens from Short Circuit is in it.
Great.
Holly Hunter has a very small cameo from Arizona. The guy from Fast Times we talked about, Brian Backer. He's
Backer Rat. Yeah.
He's the lone final boy, not a girl, boy, which is very odd.
Right.
Yeah, because they're almost always girls. Tom, like I said, Tom Savini did special effects, and it's also infamous because it's the first movie ever released by where is it? Miramax, which is the Weinsteins.
Sure, brother.
Yep.
As Hawk Hogan would say, "Oh, brother."
First movie with Weinstein.
Christ.
Shit, I can't do it right. The Burning, and I read where that he was doing like sexual shit on that set
I'm
too.
sure he basically did that to everybody, the pervert.
And the last one I'll show and give a nod to Tom Fridley because I met him and he's on my Facebook. Maybe I should have shown this video because he couldn't believe this. And that's Summer Camp Nightmare.
Oh wow!
Signed right there. I can't ever get it right.
You can't read or write.
No, I can't get it right. I can't point.
Oh, I thought you said I can't read or write. I'm like, Cody, is there something you want to share with us in this podcast?
And I can't ever get.
I never learned to read.
And yeah, I talked to him for like almost an hour. He's really awesome. And
that's cool.
He said he did has his own like soundtrack for a movie, and he has his script written, and he let me listen to it. And he said, yeah, he had people sign the bootleg DVD because it was never officially released on DVD before. I had the bootleg DVD too, but he's never seen the Laserdisc, and I could tag him or show him this on Facebook because we're still friends on Facebook. Right. And maybe I don't know. I can ask him if he wants to join us one day and talk about it. But
that'd be awesome. There's a couple of famous people that are on my Instagram I want to try to get on our podcast. I won't name them yet.
His nephew, John Travolta's nephew, and he also did Cord, his most famous role, Cord in Friday the 13th Part 6 in the RV. That's Tom Fridley. And this movie's not really a slasher movie. I just included it because it's always the name is. It's more like Lord of the Flies at a camp because you have Chuck Connors who basically running the camp.
I'm listening to him.
He's like mean as shit to the boys, and the girls' camp's on the other side of the ridge. There's a bridge you can't cross because it's like a rope bridge. It's about ready to fall apart. The girls are on one side, the boys are on one side. They come together. They overthrow and eventually kill Chuck Connors, the guy that runs the side. The girls' side comes over. They start ruling camp, and egos run wild, and that's what happens. It's basically Lord of the Flies with the campground. So it's more of a thriller, just party. There's only one or two deaths in the whole movie, and of course Tom Fridley dies in it. Also, he dies in Friday the 13th. He dies in this, and he also dies in Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, which is very underrated. I almost thought to bring that one, but I didn't. So that's my rare, aside from Children of the Corn and The Burning.
That's your summer horror movie. So we want to get into our favorite cult classic movies to watch in the summer.
More to talk about. Maybe we should do 2 parts.
But you have more?
The cult classics, I have like 7 or 8. Yes.
Well, let's pick. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You pick 5. Let's do this.
Okay.
All right. Because some of these movies we're not going to do horror now. So everybody watching this, our next topic of this is favorite movies to watch in the summertime that are like cult classics or some of your favorites. They don't have to be horror. I got a couple here that aren't horror. Obviously, they're not horror. So I got a whole medley here of some of my favorite movies to watch when it's summer.
Well, mine, a lot of them are. Not all of them.
It's fine. All right. So you want me to go first with my pick?
You can. Okay.
Yes. Well, here I actually have the DVDs here. This part because I don't have a lot of horror. So my first pick to watch a movie during the summertime is Warriors Come Out and Play. So it's my imitation of that. That's one of my favorite. I love the movie Warriors. It always makes me think, even though it's Coney Island, it makes me think of the Jersey Shore Boardwalk and how I was at a convention at the Jersey Shore a couple of years ago, and I met a guy. He was a retired NYPD police officer, and he was telling me how he actually went to the Warriors reunion, and they did it on Coney Island, and they recreated, I guess, the beach scene. But I love that movie. It's a movie I like to put on, and that they're going to. They start in the Bronx, and they work their way back down to Coney Island, and it takes like I guess the whole night. And I always like watching that movie late at night because I figure, well, when the movie ends, it's time for me to go to sleep. But it's such a great movie. And there's so many great elements in it. All the gangs and the baseball back characters, and the warriors themselves, and how a lot of them get picked off. And the main guy Cyrus, who I always said looked like The Rock with hair on crack. And I swear Booker T stole that from him. Was like, can you dig it? He kept saying that. I swear Booker T stole that from him.
Well, he said Harlem Heat, so he's from New York, so maybe.
Right. But I just love the Warriors. There's just so many elements. It's got like a sci-fi futuristic vibe. I love the girl in it. I forget her name. Is Deborah Suppin. She was in the TV series, which I don't know. You're not a fan of TV series from the '80s, but she was one of the daughters from Too Close for Comfort. And I don't know. There's just so many things I love about that movie. It's a fun movie to watch in summer. So that's my first pick of cult classic movies to watch in the summer.
Well, these are all cult movies that I'm going to show.
Right.
None of them were really famous. So we'll start off with one that I talked about before we started that you didn't even know about, and that is Hard Bodies.
You've heard of that, yeah.
And that's the Grant Kramer starred in it from
Killer Clowns.
And it's basically these old guys go to this beach in the summertime, try to get laid with all these young women. And Grant Kramer is like the guy that knows how to do it. And they try to recruit him, and he tries to tell them how to do it. It's all crazy shit. And it's just the sex comedy after a sex comedy, and all the it's just funny. And I got it signed by Grant Kramer. And
that's
says
awesome.
Flipping you off in 40 different languages when he's like his friend. And that's also Courtney Gaines from Malachi from Children of the Corn. He's
right.
A lot of stuff. And we wanted to talk about cameos, but I don't think we did get into it, did we? Of rock
stars. We're gonna have to do that in the next podcast, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I really wanted to do that too. Is rock stars that had cameos in movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll just put it out here because I have it in my hand. Vixen. They called the band Diaper Rash in the movie.
Right.
But it's Vixen before they became Vixen, and they played at the party. So that's one rock star cameo for you.
Cool. All right, I got my next pick. Some of these are obvious, so we're going to do comedies because I don't think you have any in your list of comedies. But one of my favorite movies is two of them, but I only have one to show you. Is
comedy I had?
What's that?
This was the only comedy I had in the whole list.
Right. I got Great Outdoors with John Candy and Dan Aykroyd. And I love that movie. I saw that in the theaters when I was a kid. It was just on a couple weeks ago. I love all John Candy. I should say all, but I'd probably say I'm a fan of 90% of John Candy's movies. A couple of them I don't like Delirious or Only the Lonely. Yeah. But Uncle Buck's one of my all-time favorite John Candy movies.
Yeah.
We'll have to cover that at some point because I could do a whole podcast just on Uncle Buck. But I love Summer Rental, and I love Great Outdoors. And Great Outdoors is a great movie about, John Candy taking his family up to go camping, and his obnoxious, I guess, brother-in-law shows up, his Dan Aykroyd, and it involves bears and fishing in the middle of the night and jet skiing, and John Candy jet skiing. So it's a great summer movie to watch, and it takes place in some lake up in Canada apparently.
Yeah, it did look like Canada up there, in the movie, kind of, with all the forests, and they have all those forests up that way.
I love the scene with the raccoons too. Do you remember that?
Yeah, where they're like, they were talking. They had the subtitles. I forget what it all said.
Yeah, they're eating the meat. It says it tastes like lips and assholes or something. They're eating like hot dogs or something.
The bear was funny thing you mentioned that, because the bear was trained by the couple lives in Utah. They did Bart the Bear from The Great Outdoors. They trained him. He was in a bunch of movies, like 4 or 5 movies. The Great Outdoors was one of them. And he also did, I think maybe Dr. Dolittle with I don't know. It might not have been Bart, but it might have been somebody.
So is it safe to say the bear probably has his own IMDb page?
Yeah, he was in like 3 or 4 movies at least. Yes.
The bear has a SAG card?
Well, the cocaine bear is on display. The real cocaine bear they stuffed is on display in Lexington Mall in Kentucky.
You were telling me that. Yeah.
I didn't know about it at the time, or I would have looked it up. But.
Right. What do you got as your next pick?
This is kind of comedy horror. It's only this movie could be made in the 80s, and I don't know if you know about it or not. It's one of my favorite guilty pleasures, The Stuff.
What is it called?
The Stuff.
The Stuff. I have not heard about that, so please tell me what that's about.
Basically, this frozen ice cream that people eat and they become like zombies. It turns them inside. It eats them from the inside out, and they become like zombified. And it's from outer space. And they used a bunch of like Haagen-Dazs ice cream, killer ice cream. Only the 80s, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's funny.
And all the grocery stores were turning all these people into zombies because they keep eating the stuff. And they're only selling the stuff, and everybody in their homes have the stuff in the refrigerator. And this little boy knows something's weird and you don't want to eat it. And they find out where it comes up from the ground. No. And it's such a satire movie that you remember the film, the part of Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street where the first kill where she was dragged up at the ceiling.
Right.
Yeah. They recreated that with ice cream. They sleeping and the pillow turns into ice cream and it grabs it and they drag him up to the fucking ceiling.
Oh my God. That's funny.
And, yeah, and they ended up going to like the factory where all the workers died from the stuff, and it explodes, and it's really it's a guilty pleasure. I love the stuff. It's a satire, black comedy, horror film. The guy from Saturday Night Live, the black guy, gets killed. He gets melted from the inside out, and he melts his face. What's his name? Garrett Morris.
Oh, Garrett Morris. Yeah, he was one of the first members of Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really cool. He's and it even has Clara Peller. You know her? Remember her, the old lady from Wendy's?
Yes. Yeah. Where's the beef?
Yeah, she's like, "Where's the stuff?"
Where's the stuff?
Yeah, it's really cheesy. So I highly recommend watching it.
I'll have to check that out. All right, we got a couple more. I got. All right, I'll give my next one. I'm sure you've seen this before. Well, you don't like modern horror movies or sci-fi, so
depends on what it is.
Cult classic. This is one of my favorite movies to watch for the summer. It's Death Proof with stuntman Mike, Kurt Russell, and
I love Kurt Russell though. I almost brought up Escape from LA because a lot of people don't like it, but
right, that's a good movie. Could have brought up. Have you ever seen Death Proof?
I've saw parts of it. Is that the one with the machine gun on his leg, or is that the other one?
No, that was the follow-up, but that's with Rose McGowan with the machine gun leg. No, that's the 2-part movie they played together at the theaters. No, this is he's a stuntman, and the movie has 2 parts, and in the first part, he's just hanging out in the bar, and he's like, I guess he's these girls that are this one's a DJ, and he keeps hearing about. I think if you show up, the DJ girl is going to give whoever shows up and says her name, she'll give a free lap dance, and he shows up at the bar, she won't give it. And the girl who winds up doing the lap dance, she's like really hot. As if you get a chance, check out Vanessa Ferlito. She's in the movie. She kind of actually reminds me of the woman from the Warriors. They kind of have a similar look, even though it's like 30 years apart. The movie Deborah, whatever her name is, and from the Warriors, kind of looks like Vanessa Ferlito. But Vanessa Ferlito does this lap dance in the movie that you got to see, and she does it for Kurt Russell, and then he, I guess, takes the girls home for a drive and doesn't bother to tell them that his car is death-proofed. And so Rose McGowan, I think, is in the front seat, and she's on the side that's not death-proof. So he purposely starts driving the car and crashes it everywhere, and he survives, and her head gets completely busted open. And I think he kills them all off one by one, the girls in the car. And then so the second part of the movie, these girls a year later don't even know who he is, and he tries to do the same thing, and they get back at him, and they beat the living fucking shit out of him and kill him at the end of the movie. It's a really cool movie.
Okay. I'm not going to talk about this one because we already talked about it. I figured you would bring it up, but I brought it up anyway.
Right. What is it? I can't say.
Stone Cold.
You got Stone Cold. Awesome.
Yeah, with like Brian Bosworth, Lance Henriksen, the biker gang. I love it. It's cheesy. The whole action sequence at the Washington Capitol building, and I don't know. It's just really cool, and how he infiltrates the Brotherhood, and they find out they kill his girlfriend in the movie. It's the biker chick, and I don't know. It's really good. William Forsythe's a badass in this movie too.
Yeah, he's in all these movies. He plays the asshole.
Yeah. There's not a lot to say about it. We already talked about it, so I just thought it was funny.
Right. Good pick. All right, I got two more. I mean, I would have one as an honorable mention, so I don't know if I'll get to it. I
Four
don't
more.
have,
Or no, I can't count 5 more. I can just do real quick.
yeah, I don't have the DVD for it, but I wanted to mention we talked about this is Miracle Beach, and I if you can get it on DVD, it's pretty expensive at Amazon, but it's with Amy Dolenz, which is the daughter of Mickey Dolenz and the Monkees. It's with Dean Cameron, who was one of the students in Summer Rental.
That's why you brought that up because I got a movie coming up with him in it.
And so basically, it's this down and out guy, and he's this really nice guy, and he has this hots for this hot model girl, and she's of course she's not nice, and she's stuck up, and so he finds this bottle on the beach, and Amy Dolenz is the genie in it, so it's kind of like a modern day I Dream of Genie, and she grants him 3 wishes, and I guess it's all this. He does all this to get the hot girl to fall in love with him, and she builds this giant beach party mansion or a giant beach house on the beach in Malibu, and has all these people come to the party. It's a long story short. At the end of the movie, he really finds out that he realizes that the girl that he really thinks he wants to be with is just stuck up, and he winds up falling in love with the genie, and she gives up her role as a genie and falls in love with him, and they live happily ever after. So Pat Morita from Karate Kid has a cameo in it too. So
I got 5 more. I don't know if I have time to talk about all of them or not.
yeah, I got 2 more DVDs, so it's up to you. I mean, that would be over 5 picks, so it's up to you if you got a couple more.
Fuck it, I'll just do real quick.
All right. Yeah, why don't we do like a speed version now?
One of my favorite movies of the 80s that never gets talked about. It only made like $1 million, $2 million, and it got banned in a bunch of countries because of its lewd content. And it's also based on real stories that the director read about public schools in the 70s. And that's Class of 1984.
Okay.
Where this teacher arrives at this new school, and this gang's taking over the school. They're bullying all the students, and they target him. They won't do anything in his classes, and they ended up stalking and raping his wife. And
thank God.
It ended up going at the end where he ended up killing them all at the end at the school.
Wow.
Revenge. And one of the scenes was one of the teachers. It's based on a true story. The scene was where the teacher went so nuts against these gangs, where he pulls a gun out on his class, and he's like, "Well, you're not leaving today." And he basically holds him up. He's like, "You're going to answer my questions," and he melts down and everything. It's a really great movie about how school violence was and
right.
gangs, and it got banned for its lewd content because of another scene they used with the guy that went nuts with the gun. He was in charge of the biology department, and they used real life animal carcasses because they broke into
wow.
They broke into it and they killed all the animals. They used real life. They were already dead, but they actually used real life animal carcasses for the movie.
That's crazy.
It got banned. It eventually got released uncut all over the country, all over the world. But yeah, it's Class of 1984. And a tidbit, if you Michael J. Fox fans out here, his first movie, The Nerd, as Michael Fox, no J.
Really? Wow.
It came out in 1982. So
that was even before Teen Wolf. Wow.
He made 2 sequels to this, Class of 1999, and I think, or is it Class of 1999? I think there was a Class of 1994, maybe. I know there's 2 sequels. I've never seen either one. So the original is amazing. You should check it out.
I'll check that out. All right. So I got 2 more. I'll just do this one. This is another one of my favorites. Are you ready for the summer? Are you ready for Meatballs with Bill Murray?
Doesn't matter.
I love that movie. I remember seeing that maybe when I was 3 or 4 years old on TV, and I don't know, it just always reminds me of my childhood and reminds me of summer. So it's a camp, but no murders, no sleepaway camps. It's this good old fashioned late 70s, early 80s hijinks with
79, I think.
79, and fun fact, I don't know, maybe you'll figure this out. I don't want to give away any names I use on social media, but Bill Murray's name, camp counselor Tripper Harrison.
I wonder where that came from.
Oh, so there you go. But yeah, I love it because he wears a black Chicago Blackhawks jersey to pay homage to Chicago, where he's from, and Second City, and he's this goofy character, and he takes this nerdy kid, I guess, who's really lonely under his wing, and And it's got all the hijinks and the swimming in the lake and the girls and all that stuff. So I picked that as one of my favorite summer movies to watch.
I'm not sure if these next ones I have are technically summer movies, but screw it. They're not winter time movies. So.
Right. I said like call classics or movies that fun to watch during the summer. They don't have to necessarily take place in summer.
This is the only one of its kind in the world. I can guarantee you this. Bad Dreams, signed by E.G. Daily.
Wow, E.G. Daily, the voice from the Rugrats.
The Rugrats, yes. And she had her own singing career in the 80s.
She's very talented. And fun fact, did you ever see the movie Dutch with Ed O'Neill from Married with Children?
That one with Ethan Embry, right?
Ethan Embry, before he was called Ethan Embry. And E.G. Daily has a small cameo in it. She's one of the girls that I guess they give a ride to. Or the girls give them a ride when they're trying to get back to Chicago. Yeah.
This is basically a ripoff of, because it came out in the late 80s. It also stars, well, she's not the star, but Jennifer Rubin. This is all basically a ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. And, it's pretty much Part 3. Where this Jennifer Rubin was just in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, the drug addict chick that gets killed with all the drugs.
Right.
Well, she joined this cult by Richard Lynch. Richard Lynch was a good actor, too. And he had all his cult members killed. They all drank this poison and blew up the house, and she survived. And she goes to this mental hospital, like Part 3 of Nightmare on Elm Street, and she keeps seeing nightmares of him. And when she starts meeting like other patients, including E.G. Daily, he kills them off one by one, just like Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Right.
And it stars Dean Cameron also as the other.
Dean Cameron, right? Sure, for Summer School, and then Miracle Beach.
It's basically him supernaturally, through nightmares or her visions of him killing everybody that she's starting to make friendships with at the mental hospital, and she ends up killing him at the end. But that's why it's called Bad Dreams, because she sees him in her dreams at a mental hospital. So somebody watched Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and pretty much ripped it off. But I like it.
Which was the Friday the 13th movie? She winds up in a mental hospital and comes out. It's the same damn thing.
She comes out. Oh, that's Part 7, maybe, where she. Yeah,
it's after Tommy Jervis. It's the
one with the Weekend of Bernie guy. Yeah, Part 7.
Yeah, he's like the psychiatrist. He's a complete asshole. That's right. Thank you.
That's another summer movie you can watch. Weekend of Bernie's.
Weekend of Bernie's.
He puts the headphones on. The second one, he's like.
You got any more? I got one more. That'll be it for me in this podcast tonight.
Talk about it really quick.
What's that?
3. I got 3.
Okay. Well, here's my last pick. I got it on DVD. Cult classic. It even says at the top, Midnight Movies, MGM presents Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I should have brought my fully signed Japanese VHS of
Grant Kramer.
Yeah, Grant Kramer, 2 of the Killer Clowns, Susan Snyder also on it. Yeah.
Well, if anybody knows Cody, I mean, I'm sure your followers know this. You got to actually meet the Killer Clowns and go on a basketball court with them.
Yeah, the University of Men's Kentucky basketball court. Yes.
That's so crazy. I remember you shared that picture. What's that?
I had dinner with them afterwards also.
Did you really? You get Applebee's and never half-off appetizers?
We were going to go to a Thai restaurant, but it was closed, so we went just to the Jack Live or whatever it's called, right? The theater complex right across the street when they had a bar restaurant inside there.
Did they stay in full clown costume when they went to dinner with you?
No.
Oh, they got out of their costumes.
That had been hot as hell in there because it was packed with people. Because it was.
I was going to say maybe they would wait out.
They had a Halloween party in Lexington. That's why it was. That's why the Thai restaurant was closed, because the Halloween party was going on.
Right. Wow.
Everybody was in the streets. It was packed.
I could picture like one of the clowns making like the balloon animal, the dog.
The popcorn, yeah. Or no, they carry the thing with the popcorn, sprinkle it, yeah.
They're having, I think I shared it with you a couple of weeks ago, but they're having here in Phoenixville where the movie The Blob was made. They're actually going to show Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I think this weekend. No, not this week. Yeah, next week. It's on Friday night, and you can actually go to the theater and watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah.
I wanted to take my wife, but she's terrified of clowns, so I don't think I'm going to go. Just watch it on DVD for the 20th time.
It's a comedy if you think about it. kind of.
It really is. I mean, I know it's got weird elements, but I mean, it's ridiculous with the cotton candy and stuff, and
Yeah. Well, I got 3 more I'll talk about real fast. This
Sure.
first one I don't know probably. No, a lot of people probably don't even know about it. The Deadly Spawn. This is the rare Japanese laser disc. This creature just with the giant teeth and small hands, like a T-Rex, pretty much. Mouth. There's no plot to this whatsoever. There's nobody famous in it whatsoever. None of them had any other movie credits. Well, it's in this basement of this person's house in a suburban town, and it eats this guy that wakes up because he hears something downstairs, and then it terrorizes the family next door. And they have little babies that like chew on the people, and it kills a few people, and they end up killing it at the end. So it's basically it's been chased around their housing
right.
With this thing, the whole movie. And it's really cheesy, really short. It's like 80 minutes. And you can see the back.
It's shorter than this. It's shorter than this episode's podcast.
Yeah, and that next movie's even shorter. And really quickly, this is a good movie, I think, for summertime. Showdown Little Tokyo.
Showdown Little Tokyo. Okay.
Signed by Dolph Lundgren.
That's awesome.
Has Brandon Lee, of course. Tia Carrera. He gets lucky.
Yeah.
Takes out Tia Carrera.
We mentioned her in our last podcast. Yep.
And Kerry Tagawa, maybe the greatest underrated villain ever in movies, because he's Mortal Kombat. He's in Tiger. He's in Showdown Little Tokyo. He's in Bridge of Dragons. He's always a bad guy in like everything. He's really good at it. And it's a lot of martial arts films. White Tiger is another underrated movie that I have on VHS. And, they kill his parents, and he comes back in LA and tries to take him down, and he's partnered with Brandon Lee. And, eventually, it's only like 75 minutes movie. It's pretty short. Wow. And the last one it's hard for me to explain, but I really like this movie. It's never talked about. I got shitty reviews, and it's a movie that's pretty much forgotten. The First Power.
We were talking about this. Yeah, didn't I bring it up to you a while ago? We were talking about the Lou Diamond Phillip movies, and we couldn't think of the one I was talking about, and was that?
Well, yeah, because I like it. It's one of my favorite movies with him in it. And it's basically a supernatural killer. It's a satanic killer. He kills him, but it's sort of like a shocker in a sense, I guess. Without the shocker, doesn't have the satanic and.
Well, Lou Diamond Phillips actually played Richard Ramirez in a movie too.
It kind of looks. He would look perfect. Yeah, I never saw that.
Look it up. He plays him. I was looking up his filmology, and hang on a second. I was looking up his filmology, and he plays Lou Diamond Phillips plays Richard Ramirez in a movie.
And basically, it's like this killer has the fourth power where he can't be killed, and he has like supernatural abilities, and he like torments Lou Diamond Phillips' character the whole movie, and they ended up killing him at the end. But it's really underrated. It's very kind of obscure because people know about it, but everybody's like La Bamba or Young Guns. Obviously those are better movies, but I always like this movie, and it's kind of like I said, a rip off of it. It's kind of like this shocker because they shock him, but he doesn't come through TV sets, but he's like,
right, shocker. Yeah.
But yeah, it's the fourth power. The first power is like something with I don't know how it's religious. Like the first power says. It says in the movie, I don't know anything about religion, but it's like you can't be killed, or he has to be killed a certain way, like a dagger or whatever.
Right.
But so that's my underrated movies. It's not really a summer movie, but it takes place in LA and it's not cold, so it could be spring, summer, or fall there. It's never cold there really. So
right.
That's my picks.
All right. Yeah. What'd you say?
It's been 90 minutes already, so holy
shit.
shit.
We've had a long podcast. It's been as long as a movie. Well, probably our next one will be the fall, knowing you and I.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Hockey season will have started, and we'll have to do an episode for horror movies during Halloween, which will be the Halloween list, and that'll be the horror movies from Halloween.
There's a lot of Halloween movies, though.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I could bring up my Scooby-Doo.
Jesus of the Witch.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, it's good talking to you. Good episode. We'll have a happy 4th of July.
Yeah. I don't know how many people are going to watch all of this, but it's a long. But maybe
it's a shame we can't break up the podcast in different when we cover each topic. I don't know if you can do that. Maybe you can check that out under editing or something.
Probably there's a way to do it because
Probably half the audience jumped off at the hour mark would be my guess. But
well, when I see like the people that travel, because I watch a lot of travel videos, they'll put all their week's travel in one video.
yeah.
Somehow, so there's a way to do it.
I just know if I watch people's podcasts, I can't go more than an hour. I'm done. My brain's.
If you watch like a travel video of somebody, I've been to this city for a week, and they show day one.
Right.
They don't have different videos for it. They cut it out. They cut it all into one.
That's what I wish we could do. Is just like each topic could just be a marker on YouTube for marker. See if you can do that.
I'm not sure. So.
Make it happen, brother. All right, Coach. Good talking to you. See everybody. Thanks for watching. If you last
soon, so
what's that?
I'll upload it soon.
Yeah, if you that way people can still watch your 4th of July week. But if you got everybody, if you lasted that 1 hour and 35 minutes, God bless. We'll see you next time.
You have more patience than I do, that's for sure.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.